Thank you so much for joining us for the Awakening in Black and White with Dr. B and Mr. D, a psychological and legal analysis of those issues facing the American people. As you see, Mr. D is out for the day. He's not feeling well, a little under the weather. So I'm here to carry on for us, and I am going to try my best to stay on cue and use this platform for what we have created it for. It's not my own personal space. I'm going to leave a lot of my comments for the people, a lot of my talk that I do for my folks for my personal platform. But I am going to interject where I feel necessary, where my concerns about race come in. And Mr. D will be able to debate any of my thoughts during our next show. I wanted to come on today because Mr. D was supposed to talk about the executive orders. He was going to break that down for us. As you know, he is a semi-retired attorney. He's very well read and well versed on these so-called laws that we have here in our so-called Constitution, and he can break those things down for us. I am a psychologist. I'm also a paralegal as well. And I'm an advocate and author. And I take my concerns for other human beings very seriously. And so he and I make a really good pair. He is a Trump supporter, Republican. I'm an independent. I support no one. And so we have a lot of interesting comments and topics that we discuss. And so we wanted to bring that here for the people. So this show was supposed to be about a real solid definition of what an executive order is. I'm going to save that for Mr. D because that is his area of interest and area of expertise. And what I want to focus on is, instead of defining what an executive order is, I want to focus on the executive order. The executive order of the last several weeks has been DEI, diversity, inclusion, and equity. And one thing that I do know is I know that Trump has, I think he's signed over 70 executive orders. That has been since February 20th. I'm not sure where he is now. And one of the highlight and focal points has been the DEI rollback. DEI was a system that was put into place after the George Floyd murder. George Floyd was murdered by a police officer. And from that point, there were folks that came together and believed that they wanted to approach and they wanted to include and focus on all the historical inequities that had been inflicted upon Black folks. And so they put this diversity, equity, and inclusion process into play federally. And so what that meant was that companies and businesses were expected to be fair and equal in their hiring practices. And we know this is similar to affirmative action back in the day. There was affirmative action put into place for a specific reason. And we know that more than Black folks benefited from affirmative action. We know that white women were the main group that benefited from affirmative action. DEI is similar. There's so many other people who have benefited from DEI. However, as a Black woman, I know that DEI, when we talk about rollbacks, I know that that meant specifically DEI is equated for Black folks. And even though there are other people who fall in line with that, please, some of you other people of color, don't think that you're not included with Black folks because you're not white. So you are included in DEI. However, Black people have a different set of circumstances here. We, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, and I failed to remind you all again that Mr. D and I are semi-retired. We're not here to give legal or psychological advice. Please, if you have a legal matter, find an attorney. If you need psychological help, find a licensed psychologist to assist you with that. But moving forward, in my opinion, Black people are the most hated and most discriminated against group, globally speaking. And so I think we have a different set of circumstances. But one thing that I will say is that, and this is something that I know Mr. D believes as well, and we both agree on this, is that the government has been instrumental in continuing this race war. Okay, they have been instrumental for decades and decades. And so what I've seen on social media the past several weeks it's been moving to see people from all over the country, from all over the world, different races, different ethnicities come together is a beautiful thing. However, and I'd like to pause and say, however, while I am all for folks coming together, because I think in the end, we're going to have to rely on one another. When there is a food shortage, when there are other things that happen, maybe another pandemic, humankind will have to rely on humankind. I've seen that all over the world. Again, I mean, I don't know what's AI and what's not AI, but it appears to be that people all over, are coming together. There's a lot of hunger. There are a lot of people who are just not being cared for by their leadership. And so I think people are seizing the moment and they're using this time to let their voices be heard. Now, people can say whatever they want to say about Kendrick Lamar. It is, in my opinion, that Kendrick Lamar blew the dog whistle. And that dog whistle awakened so many of us. And to me, it's a shame that it takes a musician to do that. And, here I am on my Black platform again. But, I think with all the Black leadership, so-called leadership that we have in place, all the Black groups that we have, it's a shame that it took an entertainer to mobilize us. It's very sad, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take whatever we can get. And I'm going to take and follow anybody who I believe is genuine. Okay, so we're talking about the boycotting. I said this on one of my private videos. I'm all for boycotting these companies. Particularly as a Black person, I know that our Black dollar forever has been exploited. It has been unappreciated, and that's because they expect it. We spend billions and billions of dollars, especially Black women. I think we are probably the highest consumer, the highest paid out consumer. We spend so much money and we get very little respect. Very little respect while shopping. And so I'm all for the boycott. But where I would like us to be careful is that while I see these boycotts all over the world, please remember that our issues are separate. And I'm not saying that we cannot participate in the boycotts that others have going on. I think there is power in numbers. However, what we've seen in the past, those who consider themselves to be our allies usually address issues that are going to face them. And then our issues and concern become whitewashed and they exist no more. Anything that we have lined up as a group of people, we need to continue that. We can participate in other people's plights and other people's boycotts and protests because, again, it takes us as a group to have a lot of our demands met. But I think that for Black folks, we have to remember that our plight and our oppressive situation is quite different from anyone else. And there's nobody else that really cares about our plight, nor do they understand, and nor do they care to understand. And so I just would like to ask all of you to move with caution when you see all these other protests. That doesn't mean for us to just fall back. Because see, a lot of times what we do is we're so traumatized that we rely on other people. We rely on other people to get us out of our lowest moment, and we don't realize that we have to do that because nobody's going to do it like us because nobody cares about us. And so as we talk about DEI and, the call to dismantle and to push back progress that's been made, Black people need to remember that we have to stay strong in our own struggles. We cannot get diluted in the struggles of others. when we talk about protesting, and I mentioned this the other day, I'm all for any kind of boycott. You know, the other thing that we as Black folks have to stop doing, we have to stop trying to make everything make sense that we do. You know, we want to make sure, well, you know, we're boycotting them, but they do this for Black people. When we boycott, technically it's sending a message, okay? So even though, and I haven't done all my homework on the businesses that we're supposed to be supporting, you know, so I saw something about Costco. Okay, we're supporting Costco. That doesn't mean if a Costco in your neighborhood is behaving in a racially insensitive manner, I don't care if they are DEI supportive. If that specific Costco is behaving in a manner that is disrespectful to Black people, that Costco needs to be boycotted. So let's not get so caught up in symbolism, because we do that so often and so easily. Let's remember, we want to spend our money where we are respected. Our boycotts need to be long-term. These short, sporadic boycotts that I see, again, I'm going to say, I'm for any kind of boycott, right? As long as it's something. But for Black folks, we need to have a long-term boycott. And a couple of those long-term boycotts, and I only said in one of my posts, I said something about Walmart and Target. And it's not because I want to shop at the other ones. Listen, I'm old school. And so I've done without a lot of these places that are in existence today. I had targeted Target and Walmart because those are the two companies that over the years, there have been just so many stories about racial discrimination, even when they had DEI in place. And so to me, to have a long-term boycott where you shut companies down is most effective. And that means we have to be inconvenienced. This goes for everybody, anybody protesting, right? Whatever you're going to protest, even when it's all the races together, you have to be disciplined, and you have to say, okay, I'm going to have to do without that product for a while, or I'm going to have to do without going there. Because what happens is that when your voice is heard, particularly for the Black dollar, when these companies fold, guess what's going to happen? When the new companies pop up, they are going to be sure that they are sensitive. Now, my thing is, you don't have to like me. And I say that all the time when I shop. You can talk about me behind my back when I leave your establishment. You can call me whatever you want to call me when I leave your establishment. But while I am there, you better greet me with a hello. Is there something I can help you with? Genuinely, not stalking me around the store. And leave me off with a thank you, come see me again. Because I'm telling you, the stores that don't do that, I never go back. I can't tell you how many gas station attendants I've had to say to them, in this country, we say good morning and we say thank you. And one place that's right down the street from me where I did have to go back after that, but he did that. After I said that, he said, oh, good morning and thank you. And so now when I show up, he says, oh, yeah, I have to say good morning and thank you to you. That's right, you do. And so until we start demanding, we're not going to get anything. And so a long-term boycott, not a boycott for 2 days, and then we return, because you're not really sending that strong, powerful message. Somebody posted on Instagram the other day, and I think it was a Walmart worker, and it was a woman that worked in Walmart, and she recorded early morning when the store is normally packed, there was not one soul. And so to me, that said that there were white folks also who didn't shop, which I thought was beautiful, right? You have people really taking this seriously. But what sense would it make for that store is empty that day? Why go back and fill it up? Why do that? You know, why do that? Continue it. Let the stores close down. Let them close. Because then when you have these new pop-ups, then they will be more respectful. And we don't have to have demands. I was talking to a friend and they said, oh, we have to be organized. You don't have to be organized to keep money in your pocket. And this goes for everybody. Don't shop there. Don't shop there. And the goal for Black folks, for some of these companies, we need to just not shop there any longer. And then moving towards Black businesses, and I can say this because I am a small Black business owner, was a small Black business owner for 32 years. We have to also offer and do what we say we're going to do. We can't take advantage because we know, just like in every other group, there are those of us who are oppressive of our own people. And they will take straight advantage of the fact that now, okay, they're not shopping there. So now they're going to come to me. And so now I can treat them, like shit. And so as Black folks, we still have to communicate and say, you know what? This Black business is not appreciating our dollar. We can't always fall in line with people who look like us because we think that they're going to appreciate us. We have to make sure that they do. We have to make sure that we're opening on time. We have to make sure that we're professional, that we provide professional services. I understand why some Black businesses have to charge at an increased rate, particularly the hair places that sell hair products. And a lot of times that's because they are kept out of the ability to have access to a lot of these products at a cheaper price. So they have to charge more. I'm all for paying more to keeping money in our community, like other people do. And so I think when we talk about the DEI executive order, this is just for other people. Let's be clear, Black people are not the only ones who are benefiting from DEI. We are not. And we never are. Because anything that we do, other people benefit from. And I'd like to say that to our Hispanic cohorts and those other people of color. A lot of people come here with discriminatory views and racist views about Black people, other people of color. But please understand, it is because of what we have done and our forefathers have done that you are even permitted to be here the time that you've been here and the opportunities that you've had. And so, leaving off, I'd just like to say I'm so proud of us as Americans, Black, white, and others, who have gotten together to say no more. We will not fall into line with this dictatorship type of ruling. I am an independent. I speak independently and freely. I'm not for one side or the other because I know that, we talk about things that Trump's doing now, but my thought is these are things that the Democrats could have been doing the Democratic way, their Democratic way, right? So we can't cry and we can't sit here and complain because somebody that we are against is actually doing what he believes to be right. Democrats should have done that. So with you, I leave peace and progress. I hope that we can all, on some day, at some time, come together. But in the interim, while we're working towards that, Black folks, we still have our journey. And our journey is something that only we are going to be able to resolve. And so as we move forward with our protest and boycott, please remember, let's not become diluted in this movement. Let's hold strong our movement. Let's find those Black businesses that are going to support us, and let's pour our money into them. All right? Thank you so much for joining me today. When Mr. D returns, we will have him dissect and define the executive order and explain to us Trump's long-term plan. Peace and progress. Everybody be safe. Talk to you next time.